So lesson 9 is game design. First thing we're going to talk about is sprites. So sprites are characters that can perform actions that we have on the screen. They can also be background images. They can be things for a player to collect, like coins or stars, and it can be decorations in the background. So we create a sprite with a turtle. And when we did the asteroids game in the previous lesson, the ship and the rocks were sprites represented by a turtle object. So you can just create a new sprite using a turtle as we've done before. So sprite equals turtle.turtle. You can set the initial values so that it looks and behaves exactly how you want. Often you're going to use pen up and speed 0 so the sprite doesn't leave a trail when it moves around, and so it moves as fast as possible without any animation. So this will be the initial setup for a sprite. Creating the sprite as a new turtle, pulling the pen up, and setting that speed to 0. Once you've created one sprite and set its initial values the way you want it to, you can make copies of that to use so that it will inherit all of those same properties. So for example, when we've done this, a sprite.turtle, hide it, pen up, and speed, we can clone that using the .notation.clone, that's a method, so that it grabs all of this stuff that we already did. That way we don't have to say actor equals turtle.turtle, actor1.hide, actor1.penup, actor1.speed, actor1 show turtle, actor1 go to. It saves us some code. When we create this actor1 that is a clone of this, it already gets hidden, pen up, and speed. It saves us 3 lines of code for each one. So let's create some different examples and give them different colors. So if we look here, it says import turtle. This is a function, and this function creates a turtle at an X and a Y location that we tell it to go to. It creates a turtle, the shape is square, pulls the pen up, sets the speed to 0, and goes to that location. So right now, if you run it, it creates a turtle, 1, 2, 3, right there. So it wants us to create them and give them different colors. So let's pass in another value here of color and say t.color and the color that's given, that's passed in. This color keyword might screw us up. Let's just do C. C, like that. Now we need to add in another value here that we're going to pass in. So I'm going to pass in red, green, and blue. Let's make sure that works before we move on. Okay, passed in those colors. It now made the turtle the color I asked it to. So now we can create turtles on the screen that are at a location with a specific color. So we're creating sprites on the screen. So let's do create turtle. Let's do another one let's do 150, 150, and make it purple. Let's create another turtle at 175 and 0 and make it yellow. And let's create one more. Let's do 200, 200, and brown. And let's play that section. There we go. That one's way, can't see this one. He's way up here. Hard to see. The other ones you can see on here though. Let's try 190. Maybe it'll show up a little better. There we go. Now you can see more of it. So that's creating sprites using this, using a function to create them. Okay, so the game loop. The most consistent of a series of steps that are repeated constantly as the game is played. Okay, so there's this series of things that happen over and over and over again. So, for example, setting up and updating the sprites, their location, whether to show or hide them, and all of that. Checking on important conditions, like if the game has been won or lost. That is your main game loop. So let's go through creating a game loop. So we can implement a game loop using a timer. You'll use an update function that sets a timer that calls itself in the future. This creates a cycle in which the update function is called over and over again on regular intervals. The process of a function calling itself is called recursion, and I'm not going to ask that you remember the word recursion, but you need to know that the game loop itself calls itself over and over again. It's the big idea behind the game loop. You'll need to call that update function for the first time to kick off the cycle. Otherwise, it will never happen. Remember, a function needs to be called. We'll make it so that it's called, and then it will call itself over and over again after that first initial call. So the example down here, has a screen that updates background color. It sets the background color after 1 second. It's not going to change the background color, but when you play this, we have to call this update the first time. Okay, so that's the main game loop is called update. And then it's calling itself. Right here is where it's calling itself every second. So if you play this, it changes the color to here, and then if you wait 1 second, that was that 1 second when it changed that background color. So you can't really catch it in there. It's not a great example. So here's another example, except the update function now switches the background color to a random color every second. This one you'll actually be able to see what's going on. So if you look here, it's adding a random string of numbers to do a hexadecimal value for the background color instead of color name. So I'm going to play this section. And every second it changes the background color because it's calling itself and telling it to do that over and over and over again. Right here, we call that update the first time, and now it calls itself over and over again until we tell it to stop. So we're going to look at this example over here on the right. The code has, this code's got a sprite going, and it has nothing else. So we have to write the game loop ourselves. So we need to define the function named update, and we need to kick it off and have it call itself. So we want the sprite in the game loop to do something interesting, maybe change its color, clone itself, or change the shape of the sprite. So we could try some different things to make this game loop run and do something for us to see on the screen. So why don't we take this turtle and turn it into a function where it creates a new one, and we can have it make a new sprite all over the screen. So let's do define, we'll name it create sprite, or turtle, that's fine, turtle, and we'll give it an X, a Y, and C for color, and we'll create a sprite for each one, and we will say sprite dot go to the X and the Y, and sprite dot color is whatever color we pass into it when we call it. And then in our game loop, what we're going to do in the update is we are going to first update should throw a screen in here though. Let's do screen dot want the screen to pop up and I'll like it better. All right, so in this function, so let's start out by putting a screen. And then let's turn this into a function so we can create multiple turtles. We could do a clone too, but I'm just going to do this for now. Turtle, X, Y, C. And then we will create the sprite to pen up. I got rid of the start because I don't care. Sprite dot go to X, Y, and sprite dot color is going to be the color value that we pass in. Now we need to make our game loop, so we're going to name it update. And we're going to get a random integer between, I want them to actually show up on the screen, 190 and negative 190. Y, same thing. And then the color I'm going to use what was used above, if you looked in the example up here. Pull this over a little bit. This right here. I'm going to grab this. And I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it because I want to use that same info. I want to get a random color that exact same way. So we can use that. Now that I have those three values that I want to call in here to create the turtle, the X location, the Y location, and the C, I can call the create turtle with those new values, those random numbers that I just came up with, and create a new turtle. And then I can call my screen and say on timer. So that's why every time that timer goes off, I'm going to call the update, which is calling myself, that recursion, every 1 second. Now nothing will happen unless I call myself to begin. So you have to call that game loop the initial time to get it running. And now when it starts running, if it's going to behave, let's see if it's going to behave. Try again. All right, let's see what's wrong in here. Turtle.screen, define, create turtle, make sure I spelt it right. XYC, XYC, go to XY color, random.ranInt, random.ranInt, on timer update. Okay, I don't know why you're having an issue. You just did this for me. I'm going to change these to a single apostrophe and see if that does anything. It shouldn't, but watch it work. And it worked, of course. So now you'll see every second a different turtle, and it's the set default, so it's that arrow turtle that's popping up all over the place. You could change it to look like a turtle. So if you remember to do that, the sprite turtle, you're going to say, you have to set its like you want it to look. So you'd say sprite.shape and turtle, so we can make little tiny turtles all over the screen instead of, except it's not taking my shape here. Oh, that's bizarre. I wonder why it's being so picky here with these. Unless I spelt it wrong, which is completely possible. Alright, it's just being picky. So if you see, it's now going to pop a new random colored turtle all over my screen.